Well, I'm still in a bit of a state of shock because now I own a Tudor Black Bay 58 Blue. Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I'm talking about watches. And today I'm talking about a watch that I think has become very popular, the Tudor Black Bay 58. A watch that has captured a lot of people's attention, but for me, it is not a watch that I ever really lusted after. I always saw it and thought that is a nice looking watch, but there's nothing specific about it that has really grabbed my attention, or at least grabbed my attention enough to spend that sort of money on this watch. Because these watches, brand new, are almost 6,000 Australian dollars. And for me, that is more money than I've ever spent on a watch. So it's not really a watch that I overly considered. But whenever I see reviews about this watch, and I've watched so many reviews about this watch, everybody is very excited about it. Everybody says something fairly similar. They say, there's something about this watch that they can't really point to that just makes it so good. That just makes it one of the nicest watches just to wear day to day. There is something special about it, but there's no real wow factor to it. But the wow factor is sort of being so special. It's a bit of a weird thing, and that is what I've been seeing in these reviews, which is why I think I've been a little bit sort of confused about this watch, which is probably why it has never really been on my list of I want to own, which is why I'm still in a little bit of shock that I now own a Tudor Black Bay 58, in particular the blue one. And it's now in my hands, and there's a number of things that have stood out to me straight away. So in a first impressions style video, let me show you my new very special watch. So when I first got my Tudor Black Bay 58 Blue, there were 6 things that stood out to me, and first was the packaging. And unlike normal, when packaging stands out, normally it's a positive. For this one, although I think it looks really good and it is actually really nice and it is more than I actually need from packaging, when you're spending $6,000, I kind of expected it to be a little bit better. It is perfectly fine, and I'm actually perfectly fine because this realistically is going into my drawer that contains all my sort of boxes for my watches, but I kind of expected it to be probably a little bit more fancy. There's a little sort of interesting little nook there which you can put bits and pieces. It also comes with a hang tag. I guess it doesn't matter how much you spend on a watch, you get to have a hang tag which gives you some information about the watch. And under the watch there is a little section here which has your warranty and card information. But of course I'm here to look at this watch because this one is something special, and there are 5 further things that stood out to me. And the second thing that stood out to me, which was something which I was hoping and expecting, was the quality of it. But let me be a little bit more specific, because from a watch that is brand new at $6,000, you are hoping that the quality is going to be good. But I have to admit, recently I've been trying on some much more expensive watches that are $10,000 plus, and some of those watches, the quality have been good, but they have felt like a bit of a letdown, just like I felt about that box. This one, however, not a letdown at all. In fact, this feels and looks better than many of the other watches that I tried on that cost a lot more money. The next thing that stood out to me was the bezel action. Wow! 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 Best bezel action I have ever experienced, not just by a little bit, but by a lot. There's something going on inside here. I think there's some special ceramic ball bearings or something. But not only does it feel amazing, but it sounds amazing. Oh, yes, okay. So when you spend a little bit extra on a watch, you get nicer bezel action. Who would have thought that? But the next thing that stood out to me, which I thought was rather interesting, and tell me if this is something just Tudor does or something, but look at the crown stem. When you pull that out, look how thick it is. Look how thick it is against the actual crown itself. Most crown stems are actually quite thin. This is a little bit thicker. Nothing good or bad there, just something that stood out to me. Now the bracelets on these watches tend to be a little bit divisive because there's a lot of people out there that don't like the rivets. I personally love them and I think it looks absolutely fantastic, but it was the clasp that ended up standing out to me. I think it's called a T-touch clasp, or there's a name for it, but wow, is it nice, because it has a little safety catch. You can see the little ceramic ball bearings there that is holding it. And when you lift it up, oh, what a good feeling, because it has that same sort of click to it. Same sort of technology, obviously, that's in that bezel, because it looks good, feels good, and is something extra special. The last thing that stood out to me, which was a real surprise, is the quality of the polishing. Now, I'm not sure how good you can do polishing. I know the Grand Seikos have the Zaratsu polishing, which is something rather special, and I've now experienced that, and it is really nice. But this is next level as well. Perhaps not Zaratsu, but certainly better than any other watch that I've experienced, maybe besides those Grand Seikos. Yeah, I didn't know you could do polishing this good if you're not a Japanese Grand Seiko watchmaker. And of course, the thing that really surprised me a lot about this watch is how much I like the blue color. Because I had been considering this watch for some time, but when I'd seen the blue, which I like blue watches, I thought perhaps it looked a little bit funny. In real life, this is a beautiful muted blue that just works perfectly. I don't think it really showed on video, and it's probably not showing to you now how nice the blue is. It is a watch that is worthwhile experiencing and going out and seeing and sort of checking out, because I have to admit, when the blue version came out, I was a little bit excited because I love the Black Bay 58, but I'm not a big gilt fan, so a blue version with silver hands was going to excite me. But then it didn't. But then I saw it, and there came the excitement. So yes, definitely the one for me. I've made the right decision to buy the blue version. And as I expected, not only does it feel great on wrist, but it suits and fits my 6 3/4 or around about 17 centimeter wrist absolutely perfectly. These dimensions really do suit me, but it just feels great, looks great, and it has been a watch which I think is now going to become an absolute permanent part of my collection. In fact, it's probably the best watch I have. In fact, I definitely know it is the best watch that I have in my collection at the moment, and it's going to be one of my favorite watches in my collection, which is a big thing to say because some of the watches in my collection I absolutely adore. So to have another watch join the ranks in that sort of class really does surprise me. I expected the quality to be good. This is a more expensive watch than I've ever owned before. So I expected some next level stuff. I expected things to be sort of feeling and looking nice. But that doesn't change how you like a watch. A watch can be very expensive and have lots of lovely features and work really well and be very refined, but that doesn't make me like it anymore. It doesn't make me like it any more than other watches I have in my collection, but this one seems to do that. So I'm looking forward to wearing this one, and I'm going to be wearing it for a very long time. But of course, I'm going to come back at some point and I'll end up doing the full review of my Tudor Black Bay 58. Thanks for watching, guys. Whilst you wait for that one, maybe check out these videos next.